Oh, yeah.
Bless and love, my lords. Welcome to another Red Lion interview. I'm joined here today by our co-host Dudley,
Hey guys, welcome. Nice to be here.
and very nice to have Backseats with us. How's it going, sir? Hello, how are you?
Hello.
Hey, hello. Very nice to connect with you, Punk. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Great. All right. So, thank you so much for coming to the show, man. I saw your post the other day about your project, and I got so excited. I really wanted to chat with you. But before we get into all of that, let's talk a little bit about your punk story. How did you end up buying your punk, and what is the story behind your purchase?
Yeah, so I didn't buy this actually. So I was gifted three punks from Matt and John in 2017. Um, and yeah,
Really?
yeah. So
Wow. That's so
so
cool.
424, which is this one, 2869, which is a 3D Mohawk, and then I forget the number. I sold him in 2020, early 2021. Regrettably, he was an orange hair with a gold chain, and
Oh,
they
shit.
just they just sat in my wallet because in 2017, in 2018, Ethereum was very young and it looked like a bad idea. It looked like it was never going to scale. Um, these things traded for single digit dollars, and it just it wasn't worth flipping. So I just sort of like forgot about them, and I came back to like I was in my car. I was coming back from a coffee shop. It was early 2021, and I was just like I joined the Punks Discord again, and I was seeing like these insane prices, and I was just like, wait, hold on, these things are worth something now. Um, and it was that was sort of like my gateway back into NFTs. I remember asking John, probably in 2018, I was like, have you heard of this thing? Have you heard of NFTs? And he was like, yeah, man, we accidentally invented those or something like that. Because, when they made them, they didn't have a name yet. They were just like, art on the blockchain. So that was how. So my cost basis for this hoodie punk is $0.
Wow. That's a wild story. I really didn't expect that. Wow. And how did you know Matt and John in the first place? You guys were
Yeah, we
working
shared a
together?
co-working space in Brooklyn. Um, and yeah, just friends of mine from living in Brooklyn.
Oh, wow. That's so cool, man. Congratulations for holding them for so long. Well, they gifted you three amazing punks and you sold one only,
Well,
so it could have been a lot worse,
I guess
you
I
know?
sold two. I sold the 3D to Curated uh, last
Oh,
year,
really?
um, and then yeah, it happened to be on the day when Luna Terra blew up. So I had like a really good day financially when everybody else had a really horrible day, which was a weird place to be
Mm.
because it was like one of the darkest days of 2022.
Yeah, well, it happens. I felt weird in 2020. You know, everybody was staying home, and it was my best year ever. um, Crypto and NFTs exploded, and it was really much fun. I made some money, so for me it was great, but for everybody else, it was like losing their jobs and trouble. So I can definitely
Yeah.
relate to that. Um, all right, man. That's a wild story. Very positively surprised to hear, and yeah, very exciting. One of the stories that I will definitely remember. And how was your entry into the crypto and NFT space? Did you come from like a background in coding and
Yes, I've
development?
been a software engineer for I guess going on 13 years now. Um, and I've been in and out of crypto since 2013. So, you guys know how exhausting this space can be. So, definitely took some breaks and kind of did the same thing that everybody does. Join, get burned on some projects. Sort of think too much or get too heavily invested, either financially or emotionally, in something that just like without the greater context of the space, it was never going to work out. So, I feel like everybody takes those lumps and then they sort of get back to the fundamentals of the space, which is like, Bitcoin and ETH are solid, punks are solid, some early art blocks are really solid, and everything else is just sort of like, you know, kind of trying to find its footing. And if the attention of the market can stay on it long enough, then maybe it will.
Oh, wow. Crypto in 2013, you said. Wow, that's super early, man. Did you manage to hold any of the stuff that you were playing
No.
with back then, or you just approached it from, like having fun?
No, I mean, it was, Bitcoin was, I don't remember, like $120 maybe or something. No, like, again, it was like, I think it 10x'd one time, and I was like, this is insane. I gotta sell it. Nothing 10x's. Lessons learned. But yeah, it's been a wild ride to watch it go. Like my first Bitcoin purchase before, so Brian Armstrong actually gave me my first Bitcoin. I was at a meetup in San Francisco, and he was trying to sign people over Coinbase, and he was just giving away. You got a Bitcoin in your wallet if you signed up. So I did, and then it. I remember Bitcoin was blowing up, and I logged onto Coinbase, and I was like, I wonder if I still have this Bitcoin, or if I can claim it. I don't even think I didn't know what the process was or anything like that, and it was just sitting there waiting for me. I hadn't like signed up or logged in before, and so that was weird. And then when I really bought my first Bitcoin, it might have been before Brian gave me that Bitcoin. You had to like send a check with a very specific amount of money to some business, and the amount of cents was the ID of your transaction. So if you were trying to buy like $500 in Bitcoin, you would send them a check for like $500.74, and then they would know like which wallet to put that money into.
Oh, wow. Whoa, wow, that's super OG.
It's very different now than there was no Apple Pay to fill your rainbow wallet with $200 of ETH or whatever.
Oh, wow, man, that's really cool and so unexpected. I really love your story. So you got your first Bitcoin from Brian Armstrong, and your punks directly from Matt and John.
I haven't put together up until this point, but that's kind of a wild story. But
So,
kind of is.
you have more? You have more?
That's it. That's all I got.
Wow. So cool. And yeah, so since you were so early in crypto and into the space, and you have a good understanding of the technology, how many years until you got completely sucked in? Because as I read your Twitter now, I see Solidity developer, your project, and I see you're wearing your hoodie punk.
I mean, it took a long time just because like there hasn't been. I think when I started writing smart contracts in like early, or I guess mid to late 2021, that was when I really like dove in. That's when things got really fun because I started to learn about really like the chain itself rather than just kind of like everybody went through their like shitcoin speculation phase, and it just became more than kind of like sort of high level crypto. It was like, oh, I can build like very specific things, and then as someone who loves to build products, there's so much, even to this day, there's the joke that I made in 2013, which is still true today, is like take an existing idea in the space and like hire a designer and like make it better, because it's still so unusable and so hard for most people. So there's a lot of room there, and I think so. Probably like mid 2021 was really when I was like, I moved from kind of being like the tourist speculator type, which I'd been for a number of years on and off, into like really committed to like building in the space.
That's really nice, man. And do you see other people such as yourself, who are established uh, in the industry, in the let's say the technology industry or the software industry, also gradually migrating towards Web3? Would you say is it a trend all over?
I don't know. I mean,
Mm-hmm. No,
I don't know. It's everyone finds
you don't know.
their own thing. Um, it's hard to know when we're sort of in this market. It's also hard to know when we're in like the last market, because there's a bunch of people who are there for, you know, scams and short term speculation, and then there's other people who are, plenty of people have like, they were in crypto for a bit, now they're in AI because AI is hot. Um, so I don't know. There's so much stuff to build, and there's so many areas to build stuff in, that I think people just kind of, find their place.
They will naturally find their own niche and place into the
Yeah.
ecosystem, for sure. How did you end up with the idea of, creating Contract Reader? And was this your first project you launched on Ethereum?
No, I've done a bunch of stuff. So Contract Reader came about just from like reading a lot of contracts on Etherscan, and then like either pasting them into my code editor to try to like have a better experience there, or um, just generally being like dissatisfied with the contract tab on that site. And so we shipped it. The first version came out. We built it in like 2 weeks. We shipped it last January, I think, and then life got busy and we had other projects and stuff. So we just sort of like sat on it for a year, and we had. I think I've written out 3 roadmaps at this point of things we were going to build, and then last year we sort of circled up again and we got serious about it, and we were like, okay, let's really give this an honest shot. So this year we really jumped back into it, and the first thing we released was the tabs feature, where you could read code side by side. So each smart contract is a limited number of files. The biggest one I think I've seen is Moonbirds, which has you know almost 100 total files, but most of them are like less than 20 probably. So before, it was just sort of like a one single column, like long vertical scroller, and then just being able to read things side by side is a pretty natural thing to do as a developer. So being able to command click any of the sub files of a smart contract and see them side by side was a big win. And then last week we released the first version of live values, which lets anybody see the live on-chain data right next to the code of the contract itself. So you can like read and audit the code, and then you can also query the chain for, whether the mint is open, or the token URI data of a certain, of a certain token or something like that.
Man, that's so cool, and the way you presented it with videos on Twitter, it's something else for my noob ass to understand it. Because like, if you made tweets, oh, we did this, check it out. Even if I see it, I wouldn't understand it. But this way, you have it presented here. It's amazing, and you also can see your NFT render in real time, right? As you posted here with terraforms. I'm guessing you can do that with squiggles too, right?
That's a good question. I don't think you can do it with squiggles, because squiggles don't render SVGs on chain. So what we need to do, and what we will do, is in the data that comes back from the token URI function, um, is an image key and a value. So what we'll do is we'll like inline the value there, which we'll just use to display just anybody's art, even if it's not on chain. The Terraform's contract is a little special because they built an HTML rendering function inside of the contract, which a very few subset of contracts have. So, you can. I posted a thread today of you can go the CryptoPunks data contract, I think is what it's called. Here, I'll link it right here. Let's see. So you can pull the SVG data from Punks and then paste that into Figma and then like make art with your Punk.
Wow, man, it opens up so many possibilities, and this is a totally new way of interacting with contracts and like humanizing them, and this will definitely help people and also like bring people over to play with the technology. It's even when I look at it, I'm like, oh man, that looks fucking doable. You click those buttons there.
That's the goal. A smart contract doesn't need to be a scary thing. It also, it went from like a boring flat, 2D thing on Etherscan to a full 3D live document in Contract Reader. So that's really what we're going for there. And there's like with any user generated content, it's very hard to support all of it. So we'll make the different values better over time and be able to read more and more from the chain. But right now we've got a good foundation to build off of.
And this is the natural progression of things. If you think about it, like when the internet first came out to make a website or stuff like that, it was very there was a lot of friction. Very few people knew how to do it, but time goes by, and now you can put your website up with Squarespace or whatever. You don't even need to know how to code, and you can have like a relatively good result.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this is how things will evolve eventually, also on the Ethereum network.
Yeah, I mean, I think like in crypto in general, like there's a lot of space to go to make this understandable to normal people, and that's how crypto can grow out of this little like small niche that we ultimately are into something that's much more mass market.
Okay, and now correct me if I'm wrong, and this is from my mind directly, but the way I see this into the future is like in a mix with AI. Maybe you tell it, okay, write me a contract. I want to do this, this, and this, and it puts you together, and you can click in those little bubbles, and you can make the differences, the changes that you want. Is that something that sounds doable one day, or am I just daydreaming?
I mean, you can definitely use AI to write you code right now. And, excuse me. I think in terms of like AI code generation, like the way to think about it is really use the AI to generate some code, and then you make the edits that you need as like a professional software developer. I think the building it, sort of like the text prompt to a full working website or app or whatever that's exactly as you envision it in your head is probably a pretty difficult endeavor. I'm sure it will be much easier in the future, but if you say like, in React, create me a 3-column website, with a footer at the bottom with 2 links, it can spit that out really easily.
Yeah, not only that, but it can also edit contracts on Solidity. ChatGPT 3 can also write you contract functions.
Yep.
and it can explain you everything that it's doing on the contract. So this is why I was thinking, if you combine all that in a more like complete package, ready for the consumer, where you just tell it what you want at the end, and you can even show it maybe, and it helps you get there. But yeah, maybe that's how dumb I have it in my mind, and how little I understand it, maybe. But man, this looks really really cool, and I'm so happy I found it, and we are having this chat. We will definitely write an article about it, and I'm very excited to see where you guys will take things eventually, and how will you develop it. You said you started it and you put it a little bit on on a hold, and then you continued again. So I'm very happy that you guys took that decision. It's a really cool project.
Thank you. Thank you.
What other things you like to collect now on with your wallet, and what other stuff do you like to do on Web3? How do you spend your time?
I mean, it's a lot of coding. It's a lot of like product development stuff. I don't know. I'm really into on-chain art. I'm really into Solidity and kind of pushing the boundaries there. Um, let's see. I mean, terraforms is always sort of my sort of high water mark for projects that I aspire to be able to put out one day.
It's
Checks
really
has been
cool. I also have a lot of terraforms.
nice.
I
Yeah,
really like them.
Checks has been a cool recent project, and I like how that's been playing with status and just sort of bringing to the forefront kind of all of the ways that we either consciously or subconsciously like exist in the space, whether it's playing with low token IDs or certain color values, aesthetics, um, game theory. It sort of like marries all of that together, and
Parasocial relationships.
yeah,
It
and
it puts everything together. It's a nice project. I agree.
so um, I think that's really cool.
Mm.
And then, yeah, just like diving sort of deeper into generative art, definitely not into everything. I don't think anybody is, but it's just some really cool stuff that people are doing to push the boundaries. Um, and yeah, that's kind of that takes up most of my time.
You have specific artists that you really like to collect?
There's she's not that well known. Let me link to some of her art. She's not generative. She makes art with a pipe actually in paint.
Mm-hmm.
And her name's Kiko Kitahara, and I'm a big fan of her work. I'll put this in here.
I love to find new artists. Keiko
Yes,
Kitahara.
yeah.
Okay, I'm very happy you didn't say something standard like Xcopy, and
No,
we find
no.
something new here.
Yeah, so she's really
Mhm.
cool. So she'll like this is acrylic paint, and then she takes like a pipe like you would buy at a hardware store, and then uses that to smooth it out into different shapes. Um, and I have two physical pieces as well as the NFTs. Um, and then she's probably one of my favorites. I collect a lot of photography, some watercolors, and trying to think.
Oh, I really like her work. It's beautiful stuff.
It's cool. Yeah,
Mm.
the I'm not as into like the X copies and the I don't know the things that everybody else is into.
Mhm.
I won't show you the things that you've heard before.
Were you into art before you got into the NFT crypto space, or you became more interested in digital art because of that connection to code?
Yeah, it was definitely more. Um, as I got into NFTs, I kind of like accidentally fell into art. I was one of those kids that like we would go to like a museum with school and they would give you like the sheet to fill out and they would be like, you know, go find this painting and write 3 sentences about what it makes you think about or feel or whatever. And it just like never resonated. A lot of Renaissance art and stuff like that. And that stuff like I appreciate it, but it just never really clicked for me. And then when I found, I don't know, when I started seeing the things that people were doing with code and art together, combine that with digital ownership, combine that with like liquid markets, combine that with identity. Like there were so many cool things that people were doing that it really like there was a level of interactivity there that was more interesting than just like going to a museum and like looking at something on the wall. I think the most fun I had in a museum as a kid was like Instagramming paintings and like writing funny captions over them and like putting them in like my Instagram story, which probably makes me kind of a dick, but just like what you do to pass the time in a building you don't really want to be in.
Yeah, but that's the case for a lot of people, and also for me, I really liked, street art, graffiti, and I was hanging out with artists. But since I found crypto art and NFTs, I am like completely obsessed and immersed into it. And yeah, I don't think that could have happened with traditional art, with me at least. And I see that with a lot of people. And yeah, I don't know. You remember, like, what? Maybe that's my personal experience, but like, you know, for when I was a kid, the grown-ups they thought that all cartoons were the same. They put you cartoons on TV, but all cartoons were not the same. Pokemon and Dragon Ball were obviously superior cartoons. That interested me more, and this is how I think about it. Also, there is also this art that is not so interesting, and there is this art that is cool, and we have it here. So in my mind, it's a little bit like that. Maybe not for everybody.
No, totally. I think it's I don't know, it's easy to write off what you don't understand as you know frivolous or all the same or whatever. Um, but I don't know. It's been cool to. I don't know. The space is still so small. I'm excited to see where it goes in the next couple of years.
hmm and it's also very, you can measure everything, you can have analytics, everything is transparent. It's definitely a new age. But you, as a person who is into the latest thing, where do you sort of see things going and evolving further? How do you see the markets maturing and the general direction that the space will follow?
Yeah, I mean, like we're in this phase right now where we've got. I think Zora and Manifold have been significant, like UX unlocks for the average person to be able to create a drop. We saw that with sort of like the open edition, Christmas era. Um, there's everything is going to be there's going to be cheaper, more prevalent NFTs, right? Like that's not going to take away from the punks and the squiggles and sort of the high value things, but like most NFTs will just be like a cheap token that you can buy or mint or whatever. Um, we see that on Solana, we see that on Tezos. Um, and that's not a bad thing. It's just like, everything can and should be an NFT. It just makes culture this like liquid tradable thing. So, we've always sort of had that with baseball cards or football cards or soccer, whatever. Then we have Pokemon cards. We've sort of had like glimpses of this. But when you can put anything on chain and make it tradable, then um, it doesn't have to be like flippable for profit. It can just be like, if I bought I remember years ago I bought a concert ticket, and just based on the way timing worked out, like I couldn't use the concert ticket, so I ended up like giving it to my waiter at the restaurant that I was at, because like we couldn't use it and we didn't want it to go to waste. So we like went in the Ticketmaster app and like transferred it to them. And that was just like a suboptimal experience. Like there should be a liquid market for these concert tickets that I can just
Exactly.
like,
That tickets is a perfect use case for NFTs, right?
yeah. And we had this era in 2017 where people were trying to make like decentralized Ticketmaster, whatever that means. But like, if I can't make a flight, I should be able to like,
Properly, and the owners can get royalties, right?
yeah, I mean, royalties is a whole separate conversation, but just like being able to like, sell a ticket to something
No,
easily.
but that's the problem when you are selling something on the black market. Someone is paying more for something, and no, and the people who are responsible are not getting anything. But if this can be traded, then they will be looking for secondary sales on their tickets, and the venues can be not so overcrowded, maybe, and still make money. I mean, I know.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think royalties are like that's a whole separate thing, but just like the ability to easily flip. I can't make this. I can't use this hotel reservation. Does somebody want this? Without having to go through like cancellation fees and all those sort of like hurdles that companies have put up to make sort of disincline you from making a reservation and canceling it or whatever. Like if I'm staying 3 nights in New York at this hotel and all of a sudden I can't make it, my choices are either like, currently it's like, go and either don't use it and lose the money, get some partial refund maybe, or sell it to you, because all of a sudden, and make 80% of my money back. You've got a great
Mm.
opportunity, and then you get on a plane and like come to New York and have a good weekend that you wouldn't have had otherwise.
Also, one of your quotes earlier, cultural becomes this liquid tradable thing. I really, really love that. This is a great quote. And yeah, when you put it like that, it puts it into perspective. Like when you put everything in that melting pot, how the chemistry and the chaos that will be created, it's going to be natural. It's unavoidable. But it is what it is. This is how the culture is.
Yeah, I mean, imagine you can trade, an NFT is a ticket to something or for something. So like as part of Contract Reader, we've released 2 NFTs for the different features that we've released, and like we have no plans to use those, but that doesn't mean that we can't. It doesn't mean that in the future, people who collected the first five without trading them, might not be eligible for something. And so I think just having this sort of like breadcrumb of NFTs that happen, as you're building a business, or as you're, even if you're like a YouTuber or something and you create an NFT for each video that you put out, that's interesting. You let people collect those, and then you sort of see who your fans are.
Yeah, that's what we are promoting. We are funding our project from NFTs, and that's always been my pet peeve with YouTube. Like, he's a wonderful creator, makes those amazing videos, and then in the middle of the video, he has to sell me a fucking mattress or raid Shadow Legends. I mean, like that's so weak.
Yeah,
There
yeah,
gotta be more ways than that for creators to earn.
yeah. I mean, like we've primarily been using NFTs as sort of like kind of pseudo art tokens, but
Mm.
it's really anything. It's more like a piece of paper than anything else. Like it can be, a deed to your house. It can be a certificate of ownership in some way. It can be I love what Delegate.cash is doing with like allowing your airdrop to be a tradable, claimable thing before it happens. So like, you have these second or third order effects where as the collector of X, I'm entitled to Y, but Y isn't, the thing to claim Y is an NFT. So that becomes a tradable asset where, if someone cares about that a lot, they can buy that from me and I can sell that to them. And, rather than just sort of like before it was kind of like use it or lose it, now it can be, use it, lose it, or sell it.
Yeah, exactly. Let me invite Amina at this point to our interview. She can put some color with her nice voice. Hi, Amina. How are you?
Oh, you crack me up. You're too funny. I don't think you realize some of the questions you ask. Like, I just want to say, that's what she said. That's what she said the whole time.
I'm trying my best. I'm trying my best.
No, that's awesome. I wanted to come on, and actually, I was on with the Mint House team account as well because we wanted to provide support to the Mint House holders here, Red Lion, and I'm thinking Backseats also has a Mint House. So that's one thing. And another thing is, I'm so glad to meet you finally, Backseats. I love the OG mentality. It's just a little bit different now with what people value in the space. So having like the authentic, true OGs like get the platform to speak and share their story is super cool. So I'm glad to be here.
It's good to meet you.
All right.
Thank you, Amina, for coming up. Always very nice to hear you. I wanted to meet you in Paris, but you didn't come.
Well, you met Masna?
Yes, you know him.
No, you introduced us today in the chat.
Yes.
So did you have a good time? I saw that you had positive reflections about people not necessarily engaging with your tweets, but actually caring about what you say.
Yeah, I met some wonderful people there, and they were like, "Hey, Red, I really love what you said about this, and what you wrote. This article was really, really big for me." And I was like, "Really, really?" I was like, so surprised that people actually vibed and connected with a lot of stuff I said that I felt guilty about sometimes. But they were like, no, I was cool. So that made me feel good a little bit. Because I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm streaming into the abyss here,
Well, I think also the product is amazing. Just the quality of the product goes above and beyond, I think, a lot of what people are sharing now. And you do have, some good insights. I do got to give you that too.
Oh, thank you.
But
It's not just me; it's the whole team, and Dudley's work, and Amal's work, and the whole team, of course. But
yeah,
I was the
of course.
representative there.
And delegate.
Yeah. I was the delegate, but delegate is a wonderful project. I know. Now that you mentioned it, I really really love it. So Backseats, the latest trend, ordinals and Bitcoin NFTs. What's your take on that?
Yes, this question.
I think it's cool. Honestly, I haven't gone too deep into ordinals, but I like that it's expanding what you can do on Bitcoin and pissing off the maxis. Because that usually means that something worthwhile is happening when the sort of religious Bitcoin people are mad.
But man, these guys were like, on the forefront of like innovation, and then Bitcoin just exploded in value, and then they were like, okay, that's it, we're never changing now. Nothing to talk about more in the blockchain technology. That was it, and that's such a bad take.
I mean, like, there's a ton of Bitcoin is interesting because, um, in places like the U.S. where money is stable and banking is fine, um, and predictable and safe and sort of secure and guaranteed by the government, like we don't need Bitcoin, right? But there's a huge amount of Bitcoin action happening in Central America, South America, Africa. Um, there's tons of Bitcoin companies and innovation that's happening there that doesn't get a lot of play. And ordinals is interesting because it brings like that art and culture aspect, which I think is ultimately like a Trojan horse for crypto. There's so many people that talk about how Top Shot got them into NFTs in 2021. And maybe a similar thing exists for ordinals in time. But it's not going to go anywhere, and it's only gonna expand. So be curious to see how it plays out.
Yeah, well, on the other hand, you have the Ethereum maximalism, which is like, oh, so now you guys like NFTs, but you didn't like them on Ethereum, so you like your chain is not made to do this, and it has limited potential, but they want to do this. They want to copy the technology instead of actually use it on Ethereum, where there is everything already established and working. So both maxis are pissed. So there might be something there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what maximalization gets you in the long run. Like, you can have beliefs about something you can be, but like, purity for the sake of purity, I've never understood, whether that's religious technology or otherwise. So, um, you know, let the Bitcoin NFTs exist, let the Tezos NFTs exist, Solana, Ethereum, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't like is the layer two NFTs, just because bridging is a pain, right? But like that will one day be like the main way that we do NFTs is just on Arbitrum or Polygon or Optimism or whatever.
In the future, maybe it will all be in one layer by itself and everybody will be there. But for now, it's very fragmented. So yeah, it is difficult to navigate if you want to buy an NFT there. And that's what we've been saying. People were like, when there was high gas, people were like, hey, Red, you should put the Gazette on layer 2. But if you do that, then first of all you lose the historical aspect of like writing stuff on the main chain, and secondly, after a few months, nobody cares about your project anymore. It's very hard to maintain interest, especially on layer 2.
Yeah, I think there's just not that much going on. That's not true. Like I keep seeing these charts of like lots of things, lots of transactions happening. I don't know who's doing what over there, but stuff's going on. I think much like having been around in 2018, 2019, 2020, when it was just quiet and people were building, most people left the space, and lots of cool things came out of that period. So my hope is that as markets get better and people come back into the space, there's going to be a lot more interesting stuff for people to do than there was last time around.
Already there's like tons of interesting stuff. I mean, there's not enough hours in one day. right? You go on Twitter and they're like, "Oh, we released this, or we released this. This is a new project. This is just released," and you see, "Oh, this is cool. This is cool. This is cool." You don't know where to spend your time first, you know.
Yeah, no, that's accurate.
And if you have time to check the social media and see what others are doing, because most of the times you would be not you one would be consumed by their own project. So
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah,
It's hard
for
keeping
sure.
up with you, Red Lion, for sure.
And there's like waking up. I don't know if you guys have kids. I don't, but I have 3 dogs, and they're not so much work, but I still, feeding myself, cleaning, and the dogs is just like too much already. I can't imagine if you have kids or family. That's wild.
Yeah, it's hard to balance with a family for sure.
Mm.
Do you have a
So
family, Backseats?
Yeah,
You do?
yeah.
How do you balance it?
I I try my best. I don't know. I don't really have a good answer for that. Um, you know, definitely need to set boundaries. I think the 24 nature of the space doesn't mean that you need to be 24 hours, right? So like setting boundaries with people that you work with, especially when they're in different time zones, saying like, look, like, when I did this project Noun Cats last year, my friend Dean, who's my collaborator and designer on that, is in New Zealand, and we have a couple hours a day that we can sync up, and then most of my workday he's sleeping, and most of his workday I'm sleeping. So, um, just understanding and being okay with like you're gonna miss a lot of stuff, right? This is an explosion of technology and culture and interesting things happening in all different directions. So like you're going to miss much more than you engage with. And just being okay with that and setting up boundaries where you're like, the phone goes away, like it's time to like, time to hang out, like and be with friends, be with family, be present, and not on OpenSea or on Twitter or Twitter Spaces or whatever.
Absolutely.
I have issues with this too,
Yeah.
quite a bit.
But Amina, the true secret is like when you are with family or with real life people, not to feel FOMO to go back to the online, or you're missing something, or something is happening, or something bad just happened. I can feel it. Let me check.
Oh, I never really have FOMO. It's more of trying to keep up with everybody's requests. Trying to maintain the presence that I'm there and available to connect and assist and contribute, what have you.
Yeah.
So I think boundaries definitely is probably catalyzed by having a family, because you have to actually like prioritize, like this is probably what you have to do, and this is like what you can, and this is when. But also, do you have kids who are interested in NFTs as well? Like, do you educate them about contracts?
I don't think he heard you. He dropped
Yeah, I lost audio
the
there.
spaces.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I was just asking, do you educate your kids about how to use a contract and how to read a contract and what NFTs are?
Not yet. My daughter's 2, so she's a little young for that. She likes to look at them and point to the one she looks at, or the one she likes. But yeah, I mean, like I'll start teaching her like basic coding stuff in a couple years probably. And regardless of what she wants to do when she gets older, I think general code and code literacy is going to be an important it's an important thing now. It'll be even more important as time goes on.
I cannot wait for the humans of the future with parents such as yourself bringing them up. It fills me up with positivity. It's going to be so cool watching these kids with NFTs since young, and parents that know what's up and teach them good stuff from early on.
Yeah, I mean it's like what was I going to say? Like, some of the people in the space who are super young are really impressive, and I love that there's just so many more resources for kids now to learn and have community and stuff, and learn outside of school than I had as a kid, and you can just you can get started in sort of any interest area really really young or older. If you're in your excuse me, if you're in your 40s or 50s and you find something that you really love, like there's people out there who can support you and help you grow and learn, as opposed to just like trying to find people in your town who may be into that same thing. That can be hard to find depending on where you live.
Yeah, 100%. Oh man, I really enjoyed the conversation. I really vibed with you. I know you're a busy man. We are approaching the cutoff time. Before we close, are there any conferences or live events that you are visiting? Am I going to meet you also in real life?
I don't have anything planned right now. But yeah, I mean, I wish I was in ETH Paris and ETH Denver and all of that. So maybe Tokyo. We'll see. With a little one, it's kind of hard. So
a lot of punks are going to Tokyo. So if you go there, you're gonna have a lot of fun. I don't know if I can make it to Tokyo this year. Very exotic.
Yeah, I actually I haven't done any of the punks meetups, but I want to. I've been seeing a bunch of pictures.
It will change your life. It will change your life, eh?
Yeah, I'm excited to meet people that I've known online for years.
Yeah.
Just sort of the crossover of like having a kid, getting into NFTs, kind of happening on the same timeline, plus the pandemic. Like it's just been a lot of, just a lot of time inside and mostly just like not wanting to get sick or get her sick. So I actually haven't gone to, I don't think, any crypto conferences. So I'm excited to meet a lot of friends that I've been talking to for some time and haven't met them in real life yet.
Yeah, hopefully we meet you if you decide to come NFT New York. I think we will be going Dubai for sure, Marfa. So if you decide to hit any of those events, definitely we need to meet.
For sure. And appreciate you guys hosting me and give me some time to chat and tell my story, and it's been fun. Let's do it again sometime.
Yeah, during this year, after some time, I will invite you back to our little podcast here, catch up with you, see how what you've been up to, how Contract Reader is developing, and in general, see what fascinates you at the time.
Cool, sounds good.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming in. It was wonderful. And thank you, everybody, for listening to the show. This was our second PunkTalk today. We came back with a vengeance. The Gazette is available 0.015 per edition. It will be available until Monday. We have a big spaces coming up on Thursday. We have Kobe, and I am a little nervous. I'm doing a lot of research and finding out my questions. It's going to be my biggest ever interview if he doesn't cancel. So yeah, that's gonna be Thursday, and tomorrow we're gonna go on a stream and I'm going to chat about my experiences in Paris and what happened there, and just fuck around with you a little bit on camera. So thank you everyone for listening. Thank you Backseats for joining us today. Thank you Dudley for co-hosting. Thank you Amina. Everybody have a wonderful evening. Take care. Bye bye.
Thanks everybody.
Bye bye. Cheers, guys.